How's it going, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Yours truly back again with some more of this Monster Hunter Generations good stuff. You know how we do it around here. We're going to fight every monster in the game and make every video for every monster, and it's going to take a while. It's a sacrifice that I will accept, and it's something I've done before over and over again, and it's really kind of fun to me, so don't worry about it. Anyway, Gendrome. Now, for those of you who actually have fought Gendrome before in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and for those of us who fought him back in the day in Monster Hunter Freedom, Freedom Unite, Dose, whatever you have you, he is a returning monster again. The only generation in which he missed was the third generation, but he is back once more to give us the idiocy that is him and his cronies. So I'm just gonna back it up. For those of you who've never fought this guy before, I'm gonna give you a couple of tips. First and foremost, let's talk about weaknesses, because weaknesses are a big point. You know what I mean? Like when you play Monster Hunter and you fight a particular monster and whatnot, you have to remember that when you go to fight the thing, you want to be as optimal as you can. If and only if you really need that true bonus. Now, a lot of times people will try to be as optimal as they can be, simply because they want to get the fight over as quickly as possible. So with optimization at hand, I will talk to you guys about its resistances. So first and foremost, you really need to just know his weakness, right? Well, its weakness is ice. So if you have any kind of ice weapons, they will do additional damage to him, being that it is his main weakness. So if you have fought the Lagambi online or whatever, and you made a couple of Lagambi weapons, and you're thinking, okay, maybe it's time for me to actually come here and fight in the village, and you have a Lagambi weapon, you're in good hands. Use your Lagambi weapon, and you will be at an advantage to that of the Gendrome, so that way you can do additional damage and whatnot. Your fights will be quicker. Now, with that very long-winded explanation of me just saying that use ice weapons, it's its weakness, let's move over to some of the things that it can and can't not do. Well, can do. The things it cannot do, it just won't do if it can't. Regardless, the Gendrome is a pack monster, I guess you could say. He rolls with a squadron of homies, if you will, the Genprey. That's all the little bitty guys walking around me here, beating me up, you know, like using up all my stamina because I'm blocking with my gun lance. I'm using the adept gun lance, by the way, guys. I tried to really be fancy for you, but turns out I'm just better off not being fancy at all. Anyway, the Genprey will attack you simultaneously with themselves or with the Gendrome himself as well. So with that in your head, you have to understand that, okay, you have to learn your spacing correctly, because the Gendrome, he will attack you himself, and he has his minions to attack you as well. Now, his minions aren't really there to do any real damage. They're mainly there to just disrupt what plans you may have, because you'll start off an attack or whatever, and then they'll jump on you, well, they'll pounce you rather, and then you have to take that. You've been pounced, and now you have to find a different way to get in. You might have to heal up or whatever. The Gendrome will do the same thing. The Gendrome has a ability, and the Genprey have the ability to paralyze you or your companions and even your Palico. So you have to take that into account. Just any stray hit might actually do it for you, because for the most part their hits just give off the toxins, that way you do get paralyzed. So normally when you get paralyzed by the Gendrome, what he will do is he'll then do one of his strongest attacks. For him, since he has a smaller body, he doesn't hip check much like the Great Macau would do, or the Great Jaggy. Their smaller bodies allow them to actually jump, the more like raptors, if you will. They have a better ability to jump than other monsters like them, Libra Wervins, if you will. So they will pounce on you. And the pounce does a reasonable amount of damage. They'll use the pounce for a main means of attack. Will they use it? Definitely comboed after they see that they've intoxicated you in one way or another. But if you guys just keep a level head, take care of your surroundings, you know, like look at all the Genprey around you. The Genprey are gonna get on your nerves. If you can get a couple of stray hits and hit them while you hit the Gendrome, do it. Okay, I'm not telling you to fight them first, then fight him, because that's just gonna have you running around in circles, because these guys are quite nimble. Just fight the best way you can, be wary of their presence around you, and you should be relatively okay. I mean, I showed excellent prowess in that area right here. Well, in this particular fight, I mean, they were all around me, beating me up, paralyzing me and whatnot, but be aware of your surroundings, be cautious of what they can and cannot do, and you'll be relatively fine. Now, the gun lance. Let's talk about weapons. This gun lance I'm using right here, it is just the iron gun lance. I think it's leveled up to level 2. And, I mean, it's a very good weapon for starters, right off the jump. If you're a gun lance user like myself, I am a lancer, so I will be using the lance and the gun lance. But I am going to be switching off to relatively different weapons as well. But if you're a gun lancer, it's just a great weapon to have for the most part, and just gun lance as you would normally gun lance, you should be relatively okay. But I want to say that a weapon that would greatly benefit from actually coming fisticuffs with this particular monster would be something akin to that of the switch axe, the charge blade, or even the great sword. Dual blades would kind of work, but I have a feeling that the bigger weapons, the ones who have the greater damage per hit, would generally fare better than at fighting this monster than other weapons will. Now, I say this because the monster likes to move a lot. So if you can get your really strong hits in, it's gonna do the bulk of the damage. A lot of weapons that move around a lot, like the longsword, maybe even, or you can probably get away with the longsword, but the sword and shield dual blades, lances, I will say, is because they're relatively slow. This monster moves around quite a bit, and it's kind of hard to really get a true beat on him when he's just bouncing around and whatnot. And also his frame is very small too, skinny kind of body. He's not too much bigger than his constituents there, but if you have a larger weapon, great sword, hammer, charge blade, switch axe, those weapons, I would like to believe that they will do a greater, they would have greater, a greater chance of doing well against this monster. So if you are a user of any of those weapons that I just mentioned before, then you could use those and be relatively victorious when fighting this guy. I mean, the monster isn't very, very hard. Not too many tactics need to be employed when fighting this thing. Just the one thing you have to remember is that he does have a lot of homies with him, so you gotta really watch out for those guys. His armor, for instance, his armor is actually not very good. So if you were thinking about making his armor, or maybe even a couple of his weapons or whatever, I would recommend that you skip over it. A lot of people are recommending that you actually use a mix sets of Bulldrome, Jaggy, Bulldrome, as a means to just burn through the low rank armors and low rank monsters and things like that. So if you want to take that path, if you just want to just burn through it, go with that recommendation. People have been telling me about this all over the place. I don't know who came up with it, probably Goshen Hunter, because everyone else goes what he says, but that's not a slug. Just saying, like, if you want to make armors and you're a person about making armors like I am, I would generally skip over this guy. The armor is not worth it. Fighting him is a huge chore. It's a really annoying monster. So if you can just not fight this guy as often or as many times you would need to, which should only be once just to get over this guy. You shouldn't fight him ever. Fight him, get over it, get over with, get the check mark, and just call it a day. But everyone, with that being said, I think that's all the tips, the tricks, the hints, the gimmicks, and everything I can tell you about this guy. I mean, he doesn't hit very hard. He's not a very hard monster himself. Again, just watch out for all those little homies who will pounce on you as much as well as he will. The paralysis is another thing you should look out for. Once you come to grips with those and you're able to either combat or fight against it, or fight around it rather, you should be in good hands. I mean, the quest should be very easy for you, much like here. This was a bit of a janky kind of quest, but hey, I did pretty well with my gun lance here. I haven't gun lanced in quite some time, and I'm not very good with the adept gun lance as well, so I'm going to be learning, much like anyone else will be learning, as the time goes on. I will be using adept gun lance for my normal shot gun lances, much like this one here, so I won't just relegate myself to wide and long. I will go for a normal shot gun lance and get better at adept. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I know I talk about myself, but I, for the most part, try to give you guys information that you need to actually combat. I want to say combat and fight. Come fight this monster, if you will. But with that being said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. I will see you all very soon. I have another video scheduled to go up for you guys relatively quickly. I won't tell you the monster, but if you've been playing the village, the literal monster that's underneath this monster is the next monster to show up. But with that being said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. You all have a wonderful day, and good luck on your hunts. May the desire be in your favor. Take care.